Namaste. So last week we had taken the question, who is Sri Aurobindo? And we hoped that it will be the concluding session. But we had no answer to this question, who is Sri Aurobindo? And Mother has said, he is as vast as the universe and his teaching is infinite. So who can really say who is Sri Aurobindo? At the same time, she said, none can really understand him, but the only ways to come a little closer to him is to love him and give oneself unreservedly to his work. So this is the way we can come a little closer to him. And the closer we come to him, the more we understand him. See, it's the paradox. So I often give this example of people who want to meet. This is an actual experience I have had of meeting a person who is among those, what is it called, trillionaires. And, you go into a big place and he calls you into his study room. And that study room looks to you like your house almost. And you sit and, cup of coffee into the study room and all that. But you don't get to know the person. You just know it all here. But next is that you say, okay, not in this context, but somewhere, that okay, I'll work for you. Then you get to know a lot more because you are with the person now. And when you say, I love you, then he says, okay, because work will cease. 6 hours, 8 hours, dawn to dusk, or dusk to dawn. But person whom you love, he'll take you to the bedroom and say, come, I'll share my dreams with you. So the only way to know the divine is by loving the divine. The lover and beloved is carried everywhere. So also a slave. These are the two things. But with the beloved, the divine shares his most intimate dreams. So to love Sri Aurobindo, and of course the mother, is the way to really know him, feel his presence. Whereas if we intellectualize, life divine is very difficult. Yes, it is difficult. But Sri Aurobindo is not difficult. He is very simple. Look at his picture, you can't imagine that he can move mountains, not just mountains, the entire world war. So, who is Sri Aurobindo? Where is Sri Aurobindo? Mother, of course, said his home is in the subtle physical, permanent abode. And if you love him, he will reveal himself and manifest to those who love him. So in one day or the other, someday, it's not like every day one has a chat with Sri Aurobindo, please. But, he's there and people come in contact with him in different ways. And he doesn't manifest in one way. He manifests in different ways. He can, suddenly you may see him in the attire of European gentleman. Meaning thereby he's adopting a way of life and revealing something to you. There is a person who saw him as giving tickets inside a bus. He can become anything, and it's a true experience. So he can come in different ways to different people, to vision, to inner experience. He is there in the heart of every human being, all creatures, but more specifically the avatar. That's what Sri Aurobindo reveals himself in essence on the Gita. What happens when Krishna departs? When Krishna departs, he is to be found in the cavern of the heart. That's what has been the wisdom of the ages, testified by countless experiences of those who followed him. So, Sri Aurobindo is found in the heart, in the depths of the heart. Where else we can find him more accessible, because all this sounds very difficult and abstract to the rational mind? Well, at the Samadhi. So, there's a very beautiful writing by Nirodha, I am here. And it's so true that at the Samadhi, the mother says earlier, he would give the darshan 4 times a year. 4 times was after 1939. Otherwise, it was 3 times a year. And how much for one moment? That was more than enough for people to be changed. And then people wrote letters and then the replies would come. So people often felt he is distant and far. Mother says it's not true, but that's how people felt. But she says, but now he is so readily accessible. You just go to the Samadhi and tell him, and he is listening through 1,000 eyes, 1,000 hands. Anek adbhut darshanam. So, the Gita, Vishwaroops. Of course, people would say all this requires faith. Well, it requires faith. Yoga requires faith. Life requires faith. You can't take a step forward in life without faith. When you fix an appointment that tomorrow I'll meet you, it requires faith. Faith that you'll be alive and the other person is going to be alive to meet. When you use scientific methods to discover something, it requires faith in the methods of science. It requires faith in reason. Faith is the stuff of creation, and without faith, you can't take a step forward in life. So, this is another kind of faith, that is one kind of faith. So, by the eye of faith, we can feel Him, see Him, find Him within. With the vision, when it opens, we can see Him. We can feel Him, His presence in various ways. Some people, through the fragrance, it declares itself. When Sri Aurobindo was in his physical body, our gross material envelope, so to say, his body emitted a very fine lotus fragrance. So, you can sometimes, just by the fragrance that he announces his presence. So, there are various ways of coming in contact, but we don't have to worry about it. Sri Aurobindo is in contact with us, and he reveals himself wherever it is necessary. We should stick to our job, which is to give ourselves to them. This is our work. So, this is one part. And what about the larger cosmic work? Yes, it is going on. Another simple way to come in contact with Sri Aurobindo is through the word body. It is known, it's a very well-known ancient tradition, Vangamede. What is the word body? Word body is the scripture which has been brought out by the consciousness of the Rishi. So anyone who has arisen to a great level, Sri Aurobindo is of course the avatar incarnate. When he speaks something, it becomes his word body because his consciousness is there, captured, if I may say, in the sound and words. Through that medium he gives to us. And the Gita, for example, Sri Aurobindo says that when Shri Krishna came to him in the jail, he placed the Gita in my hands, and the strength of the Gita entered into him. So this is the word body and the sound body which the scriptures contain. And fortunately for us, we have the most wonderful, amazing word sound body of the dual avatar, which is Savitri. Beyond anything that we can ever imagine. In fact, reading any book, we wonder who will guide us about the problems of life, difficulties of life. When Sri Aurobindo is there in the material physical, people used to write to him. They could not even formulate the questions very well. And Sri Aurobindo would reply very patiently. Sometimes, if there was one day delay, so people would ask, "Sir, have you forgotten us? Is it because of Sunday you are taking a holiday?" These kind of questions people would ask. And Sri Aurobindo would say, "Good Lord, have some mercy on me." This is the kind of approach. Thank God that time there were no SMS. Otherwise, just imagine SMS to Sri Aurobindo. And if the reply doesn't come, then people will see is a blue tick there or not. What situation, thank God he waited that after that you have the SMS business. Otherwise, obviously the SMS and all this would have started. But we have fortunately another simple medium. SMS still has to travel through, a material space very fast. But we have the SOS. So we can always send an SOS. And I can tell you, countless people would have testified it in my own life. It is magic. It's not just about yourself. It's about anyone. Other day, I was sharing this experience. Somebody's lost the cell phone. This is 2-3 hours they were searching for the cell phone. Now, these are not replicable things. It's not like, do a miracle but I'm just sharing an experience. So the person called me after 2.5 hours of searching. The phone was not found. Alokda, can you please pray to the mother for my cell phone? I said, come on now. Anyway, child's prayer, I just said, okay, you search, you'll find it, doesn't matter, it must be around. And I just prayed to the mother. I felt such an intense throbbing in the head within seconds. And the head was as if pulsating and sending all kinds of vibrations all around the cosmos. Find the cell phone, find the cell phone. Within 5-7 minutes, I get a call back that yes, the phone has been found. Now, this is to say that there is a way and process through which inner processes which work. We don't know it, but they work invariably. And it has nothing to do with me. They said, it's a miracle. I said, no, nothing to do with me. Anybody can do it. It's that intense prayer to the divine. Unfortunately, one of the banes of a rational civilization is it has forgotten or made us forget to pray. Pray. Who does pray? People who are, sentimental fools pray. We do with reason. So God takes a back seat. He is of a retired disposition. But He is available. His help is there constantly. And most importantly, He has given us the gift of Savitri and a luminous future. He has assured us, promised us. And one can see the way things are moving, provided we, there are two ways of seeing. People say, where is the future? Where is the future? So it's the same story of the half glass full or the half glass empty. We want to see when ultimately everything, when you see human beings which are going about in a luminous body, then you'll say, yes, the future is manifest. Unfortunately, it'll be too late. So we are part of the process. There are many things which will happen before that. And like human consciousness is entering into such a vast, see, the need for space has increased so much, inner space. Now you can't put children in सात बच्चे कमरे में सो जाओ, that's how many of us grew up. Not me, we were two. So, but we were in one room along with the parents, and we never felt. But today children need space. And why do they need space? Because inwardly they are living in a larger space, both of time, of inner being. And so there are many changes, even things which are anomalous, ADHD, talking of my field, or attention deficit disorders, or neurodivergence. These are all experiments of nature. All of them have come after 1960-70. Nature is experimenting. How can they bring out unusual things? So brain is being experimented upon, and we see counterculture movement. Plenty of signs one can see of something new which is preparing itself, hatching in the eggs. So, but what is that promise? Maybe, one of the poems of Sri Aurobindo, very powerful one. Several places, of course, Savitri is there where he has given his supreme revelation. But there is a poem called In the Moonlight. And it's written in, Baroda. So 1901 to 1901 is Vision of Science, and subsequently also In the Moonlight. I may not remember the exact date. But in that poem, he speaks about how right now science is in the ascendance. Religion has taken a back seat, but something new is going to come. That is neither religion nor science. Transcends them and fulfills them. So spiritual life fulfills religion. मानने और जानने और बनने में जो difference है. The difference between believing and becoming. So it brings to religion what religion indirectly always sought, but never knew the way. It fulfills science, because science itself remains incomplete unless we understand the science of consciousness. So otherwise science uses terms like chance, fate, random. It doesn't quite understand the play of forces. So spirituality fulfills all this and does not negate it. So here is Sri Aurobindo's poem In the Moonlight, long poem. Just I'll read the last few passages where one can see at that point of time the sense of the avatar. He rises now, for God has taken birth. Who is he? If you read the whole poem, it's about man. Man had become a slave to science and religion. He rises now. So what had science made him believe? You are a creature of the dust. You are a two-legged animal. But man cannot remain happy with being labeled a social animal and a creature of the dust. He rises now, for God has taken birth. Whom is he referring to? The revolutions that pervade the world are faint beginnings, and the discus hurled of Vishnu speeds down to enring the earth. Sudarshan Chakra, which destroys darkness. The old shall perish, it shall pass away. It's written in an extremely prophetic style. The old shall perish, it shall pass away. Expunged, annihilated, blotted out, very powerful. You can't revive it. It will be like Daksha's head, transfixed the other way around. And all the iron bands that ring about man's wide expansion shall at last give way. In every way, man has expanded consciousness, whether it be internet or the space chat or inner explorations, the subjective self, new creative ventures, all this. Freedom, God, immortality, the three are one and shall be realized at length. The only freedom that we have is uniting with the Lord. Freedom, God, immortality. The three that are one. Immortality by union with the divine. So they are one and shall be realized at length. Love, wisdom, justice, joy, and utter strength gather into a pure felicity. It comes at last. the city foreseen of old. What John in Patmos saw, what Shelley dreamed, vision and vain imagination deemed. The city of delight, the age of gold. He has talked about the new Satyug coming and, the city of delight which is going to come up upon a city of delight. The only ancient city which you can think of as city of delight which will come again is Dwarka. Because Sri Krishna is living there, Anandaghan. And yet Dwarka had to be drowned because the world was not ready. It was drowned in Arabian Sea, it has immersed in the Bay of Bengal. The city of delight, the age of gold, Satyug. The Iron Age is ended. Only now, the last fear spasm of the dying past, last fear spasm were the first half of the previous century. We know that. Shall shake the nations, and when that has passed, earth vast of ills shall raise a fairer brow. All this, you see the avataric aspect of Sri Aurobindo. Not a philosopher, thinker, another person who gave an idea of. He is the one who was turning the tides, therefore he knew what's going to come about. And we can see, this is prophesied, and one can see the shaking of the nations, earth raising a fairer brow. This is man's progress, for the Iron Age prepares the age of gold. What we call sin, because we are too preoccupied with sin. बच्चे ऐसे हो गए वैसे हो गए everybody, we are too much focused on sinning. That's why our consciousness is full of filth. What we call sin is but man's leavings as from deep within. The pilot guides him in his pilgrimage. We call it sin. He says what is called as exhaustion of karmas. That's how it is told. Is but man's leavings as from deep within. Is the subconscious cleansing. The pilot guides him in his pilgrimage. He leaves behind the ill with strife and pain, because it clings and constantly returns, and in the fire of suffering fiercely burns, more sweetness to deserve, more strength to gain. That's why we have to go through that process. It's a process. So we gain in strength and wisdom and love and humility when we have faced the challenges of life. Otherwise, we are only, the toddler who owns a big amount of money from parents and just wastes away. He rises to the good with tightened wings. He, man. And this is the reason of his high unease. Why there is so much nowadays of youth feels stifled and uneasy. There is a term nowadays which has come into psychological literature. It is called as spiritual emergency. And it's so true. People go through that phase, it looks like depression. If you go to a psychiatrist, God forbid, you may be on antidepressant. There are some genuine depressions, but there are a lot of youngsters who are just stifled. They don't know what to do. And they are looking for a way, a passage. So, because he came from the infinities, we have come from the infinities. Why have we come here? What job? God, you are not giving us job. So he says there is a job for you to build immortally with mortal things. Pick up pen, paper, ink and write. And if you are a Vyasa, you have built immortally with mortal things. Immortal body, mortal brain, but what has come out of you is immortal. So this is what man is meant to build. Immortally with mortal things. Looks a tough job. But that's why should we be happy doing the most, this is the bourgeois mentality. You want to do easy things, quick things. A challenge of life in which you may lead a whole life pursuing a challenge. You may or may not succeed, but it's worth doing that to the heroic spirit of man than just being content with, okay, I'll do this need for safety, need for security all the time. We are here for this, the great adventure. The body with increasing soul to fill. Soul is the immortal element to make the body one with that. Extend heaven's claim upon the toiling earth and climb from death to a diviner birth, grasped and supported by immortal will. So this is the work, this is the prophecy. Man was not ready, evidently. Probably still mankind as a large section is not ready. But Mother has said that, the future lies with a change of consciousness and the change is bound to come. But we have a choice. Either we collaborate for the change or it is thrust upon us by the power of clashing circumstances. But what did Sri Aurobindo do to bring this change? Because it is like God represents that upper end, and within man the abyss, the other end. So man is meant to be the bridge. By connecting with God and the abysses within, he can become the bridge. But who would become that bridge? So the Lord himself descends and says, I'll become man and become the bridge. So he became the bridge, and on one side he was drawing the, as he says in his poem, the island sun, I have sailed beyond the golden ocean. And he was bridging it, bringing it into the human consciousness. Then he goes down into the inconscient to take that light there. And that's what we see described in God's labor. That's what is the mystery of 5th December. On a desperate stair my feet have trod, armored with boundless peace, bringing the fires of the splendor of God into the human abyss. He who I am was with me still, all veils are breaking now. I have heard his voice and borne his will on my vast, untroubled brow. The gulf twixt the depths and the heights is bridged, and the golden waters pour down the sapphire mountain, rainbow ridged, and glimmer from shore to shore. So there he sees that I made the passage. So what Sri Aurobindo and the mother did, they have built the bridge. So our job, there are some people very, strong ego. We have to do the work where mother and Sri Aurobindo have left. They didn't leave any work. Excuse me. They made the bridge. You walk on the bridge. Don't start building a new bridge, new method, new technique, which is now, through this you will realize they have done everything. But walking part we have to do. The bridge, walking itself is a journey enough. So, he has seen the children now who will come and walk this bridge. There are children who are coming down through a wonder cleft. In the bounds of birth, the incarnate spirits yearn like flames to the kingdoms of truth and bliss. Down a gold-red stairway went. Gold is the supramental, red is the earth. Down a gold-red stairway went the radiant children of paradise, clarioning darkness's end. How are we going to recognize them? They'll be a little quirky for sure. Normal people, often people ask that, here they had started a way that, you have to get checked by a psychiatrist and ask, are you normal? It was done with good intention. So when people would come to me for signature, any psychiatric problem, so I would ask one question, are you normal? So it was a very naughty question. Only one person gave me the answer that I was looking for. So he said, if I was normal, I wouldn't be here. I said, good. You are the right candidate. Normal people pursue normal ends, normal aims. Normal people settle down, get married, have children, settle down, have a good job, own a car. That's normalcy, isn't it? Normalcy, norm. What is the norm? But abnormal people are the candidates either for this way or for the supernormalcy. They are not satisfied within the limits of nature. So these are the children, you'll recognize them by what is going on in their heart. There is no outer recognition where they will be born, what will be their surname, none of this. The whole mark is within. A little more, and the new life's doors shall be carved in silver light. With the aureate roof and mosaic floors in a great world bare and bright, I shall leave my dreams in the argent air. That's exactly what Sri Aurobindo did. I shall leave my dreams in the argent air. Argent is the spiritual consciousness. So in a spiritual mind realm, I'll bring them down and leave them there. When Sri Aurobindo was asked, sir, synthesis of yoga is difficult, can you make it? We have, some of us are very fond of kunjis. How people pass exams. Kunjis means 10 causes of this, favorite questions, easy to remember mnemonics. So what happens? Imagine how horrifying when these people become doctors. So they don't understand patients. They have all the memory inside. But human being is living, conscious. He's not a... The last thing that a human being wants to be, is that I'm a patient like a mechanical machine and you have to just fix me right. That's what maybe even scooters and cars don't like it. There is a consciousness even in that. But that's how we have dealt with human nature. And the result is what we see. So I shall leave my dreams in their Argentia. When Sri Aurobindo was asked, he said, I've already come down. Synthesis of yoga is at a higher mental level. He said, now strain a little bit. So our consciousness stretches. It's not that he couldn't have made it still simpler. Letters of yoga are so simple. But this itself became a means of sadhana. He just says, come, I've stretched my hand, do a little bit. Now once you hold the hand, rest will follow. Read the synthesis, at some point there will be that contact and the rest will follow, rest of the journey. He will pull us up beyond the higher mind. But at that point of time, he has brought it for in a raiment of gold and blue. This is about the earth. Vasundhara, she must change her dress, for in raiment of gold and blue. They shall move on the earth embodied and fair. The living truth of you, the truth of earth. The truth of earth is that it has come from the sun physically, and also otherwise it has come from the supramental truth. It's come from that realm matter. So divinization of matter. The interesting part is here you will see he says a little more. This line, a little more, and the new life store. So Sri Aurobindo knew that something will be there which has to be done subsequently, which is what after his what we can call as physical withdrawal was done by the mother, 29th February 1956. And there is a poem of Sri Aurobindo, One Day, and below it is written, the little more. What is that little more? And that is described, and this poem mother has read. So this little more which was done. So what is that little more which is mentioned? One day, please hear in mother's voice, is very powerfully read. One day and all the half dead is done. Don't go into debates, half deed or half dead. Half dead is what was left as if slain, but yet there was in it some spark. What is that half dead? Ram Rajya. It has survived in the heart of man. What is that half dead? Kingdom of heaven upon earth. And one day the half dead is done. Equally we can say half deed. The unfinished project. So either which way. Now there are people debate on the word, but sense is that what was unfinished, that is finished. One day and all the half dead is done. One day and all the unborn begun. What was never born upon earth? The supramental light, the supramental consciousness, truth. We only have a name of truth. But truth is not something we see. We love, yes, we call love. But human love is so terribly mixed with all the bitterness, with all the mixtures. So, unborn. It has been wanting to take shape and body. And it has begun a little path. Why little path? Because you have to push through a narrow gorge. But once you enter, it is not just wideness but infinities of God. A little path and the great goal, a touch that brings the divine whole. So what does the supermind do? It doesn't reject anything. It fulfills everything. So it's the yoga of divine fulfillment. That's something so beautiful. It's not a path where, okay, supramental, leave this. Yes, initially through the narrow path, but the moment you touch, everything gets fulfilled. The human heart with a deeper, higher, vaster, profounder, diviner love and sweetness. The human mind with a plenary supramental illumination. The human life with a luminous force. And eventually the human body with that transmuting substance, the new substance. So, all that little touch which brings the divine whole. When mother was asked, what will supermind throw out? She said, throughout, why? If we accept what Sri Aurobindo has said, it means it will accept everything and transmute it. Then after a while, she says, yeah, one thing it will throw out. What is that? Artificiality and hypocrisy. So all that Dantmanjan smile, Colgate smile, just to get favors, your days are done. It won't work. Let there be a smile from the heart. Everything has been corrupted, in human consciousness. So the genuine, authentic, the smile of the Lord. So that smile emerging from the heart, how he describes the Lord's smile, and stayed in his mouth, stayed in the heart after it had left its mouth. So artificiality will go away, which is what we see today. Children are revolting against artificiality. They don't like it. And what will go away? Hypocrisy. Sir, I am so happy to see you, sir. So nowadays, I don't like you the way, even parents say, oh, we have lost respect in the eyes of children. So I say, well, if you deserved it, well, if you get angry, which child is going to respect you? So it is not that you have lost respect in the eyes of the children, you lost respect in your own self. So children are only reflecting. As mother says, if you are violent with children, if you are prone to anger, children stop respecting you because they see you as a weak creature. We don't realize it. Children see you as somebody who is very weak. He has no control over himself. Why would a child, respect a father or mother whom they see as very weak? They prefer a calm strength. And so this is how the whole process. A touch that brings the divine whole. Hill after hill was climbed, and now, behold, the last tremendous brow and the great rock that none has trod, is step and all is sky and God. This is very beautifully described in one of Mother's plays, Ascent to Truth. A step and all is sky and God. So this is the great goal towards which humanity is now moving, because that little rock, that big rock, the face of truth is covered with a lid that has been removed. But within each one of us, there is a little rock. Like when Mother was asked if finishing Hitler will finish the Asura, he says, no, there are plenty of little Asuric Chinna Hitlers in everybody. You can finish Taliban there, but if there is a Talibani inside, in some way or the other, he will erupt. So our task is, they have done the real work. But we have to do a little bit of that, for us. We don't have that kind of golden lid, or that lid which you can't just break open. But we have our own little lids, our own little caps. No, I want it this way, my preferences, my viewpoint, my opinions. Stay with it. So then, that little rock inside us, we have to shift. We can see the renunciation of Sri Aurobindo. What was his experience? There is a poem, last time we spoke that we'll read a bit of that, Divine Sight, Divine Hearing, Divine Sense. We'll read only one of them, Divine Sense, to what extent he had gone far into the transformation. And this is written much before everything else. So he was experiencing this cellular transformation of the senses. What a yoga this is. Normally you say, senses are kya? Chalna, and all those terms. Senses are the one which bind you. Senses are the one which traps of Maya. Sri Aurobindo has changed these trapdoors into entry points of the infinite. So look at this poem, Divine Sense, for the joy of it. Surely I take no more an earthly food, but eat the fruits and plants of paradise. This is going to be a fact of the future. When Mother was asked, he said, digestive system will disappear. Mother, how will we eat? No, we don't need to eat. We'll draw energy directly. But Mother, then if we don't eat, what will life be worth living? She said, there you are. She said, there you are. That is the problem. You are living for eating and not eating to live. So That's where the problem is. Surely I take no more an earthly food, but eat the fruits and plants of paradise, for thou hast changed my senses' habitude, from mortal pleasure to divine surprise. So, what is the divine surprise? Hearing and sight are now in ecstasy. Normally, it depends on what we are hearing. Mother said, even odors, what we call as foul odor and this odor, all that can be transmuted. She described that experience of all the odors merging together and changing into the ecstasy of the divine Ananda. She describes all these experiences. And all the fragrances of earth disclose a sweetness matching in intensity, odor of the crimson, marvel of the rose. This experience one can have. One can have it at the Samadhi. All the fragrances merging together. Try to feel which flower fragrance it is. How beautifully they blend. I don't know how, it's just a spontaneous thing. And there is a fragrance, very soft, very subtle. A sweetness matching in intensity, odor of the crimson, marvel of the rose. So, Bholenath is not, he is also Krishna. All the odors, colors, form, everything is noticing. When Amal Kiran went past him and Amal Kiran was, had this, I want to have a guru who looks regal and royal. And he was very impressed by Sri Aurobindo's face. So, he had this feeling, oh, what a face. What a wonderful face. So when he asked Mother, did Sri Aurobindo say anything about me? She said, yes. What did Sri Aurobindo say? Sri Aurobindo said he is very handsome. So, divine notices everything. It is not like he is sitting like this. Veet rag. Yes, veet rag. But in all he is seeing that oneself. That vision is a different vision. Of all of us, he sees that ultimate handsome boy who is sitting inside, that little Krishna at mischief and play. Okay. I feel in every contact's deep, invading thrill that lasts as if its source were infinite. I feel thy touch, thy bliss imperishable. What it must be to receive a touch from Sri Aurobindo. Hardly give. Can we bear it? There are just two instances one knows. 2-3 instances. One is when Champaklalji took his touch in trying to, draw his feet and, something on his finger. So that was the joy. Another instance where, of course, those who were involved in the care, where Niruddha is sitting and Sri Aurobindo suddenly patted his head a little bit. And he looked at Sri Aurobindo and, consciousness. He said, sir, only this much grace, and Sri Aurobindo withdrew his hand. It's infinite richer, just imagine. And the third is, of course, that famous painting where Sri Aurobindo is hugging Champaklal. It's rest of rare. Otherwise, he would not allow. Even when Tagore wanted to embrace him, Sri Aurobindo just stopped him. Because that is infinity in the body's cells. Today we know even relics of Sri Aurobindo, what they carry and what it can do. So this is how his cells were burning with that immortal flame. I feel thy touch, thy bliss imperishable is crowded into that moment of delight. The body burns with thy rapture's sacred fire. So this is what the mothers, that every cell of his body bore the rapture of the immortal flame. The body burns with thy rapture's sacred fire, pure, passionate, not the purity of the ascetic, pure, passionate, holy, virgin of desire. So, we come to the close of this series with Savitri, because the ultimate poem in which his life, the mother's life, the life of all of us is revealed. From the inmost point of view, for this series we took up basically Sri Aurobindo's poems. Savitri has been done, is being done, but in a different way. So I'll just read few passages which speak about Sri Aurobindo's life at one level. It's not, the entire yoga of Ashwapati is Sri Aurobindo's life. Even Satyavan, surrender, that is also Lord has become the human soul. So we are speaking right now only about the work that Sri Aurobindo came to do and what it is really. Hard is the world redeemer's heavy task. Leave the context. Of course, is book 6, Book of Fate. When Narad is telling the queen, you don't know what your daughter has come to do. It's not an easy task. You are thinking only about your daughter's, what will happen to her, she will get married, he is going to die. She has come to take the challenge of death. Why would she change her will? Hard is the world redeemer's heavy task. The world itself becomes his adversary. Doubts, adversary. Those he would save are his antagonists. Every time Rama comes to actually save Ravana, even in the original story of Purana. But Ravana doesn't want to change just like that. So he has to give him the wrestle. In every Hiranyakaship's house, he plants a Narad that please change. Nicely you come to me singing the name of Hari, Hari, Hari. But he says, no Hari, only me. So he says, okay, Narsingh Avatar. Duryodhan Shishupal, again he comes, come, happily. One is his cousin, second is he comes and says, stop the battle. No, we want the wrestle. So, but ultimately, has to be transformed, that energy, that consciousness. This is what Sri Aurobindo comes to do. Those he would save are his antagonists. The world is in love with its own ignorance. Its darkness turns away from the Savior light. It gives the cross in payment for the crown. His work is a trickle of splendor in a long night. He sees the long march of time, the little one. A few are saved, the rest strive on and fail. His sun has passed on earth, night shadow falls. This has been the fate of all the avatars. Sri Aurobindo knew this, so he didn't want. He knew that people will try to make it a religion and all that. Now this semi-humorously. So he wrote the Life Divine. Try making it into religion, you just cannot. Everybody will find justification for his own philosophy. He said, I am going to present something so vast, infinite. Mother said that people will try to make a religion out of Sri Aurobindo. Even a cruel religion. But you must know that the Lord is great and compassionate and merciful. He has come to save us, to redeem us with infinite grace, boundless peace, infinite patience as of the divinest Father. So, but this is how humanity is. A sun has passed. Yes, there are happy ways near to God's sun, the sunlit path. But few are they who tread the sunlit path. Only the pure in soul can walk in light. That's why Savitri, that's why so much of help in so many ways. Sunlit path means surrender to the mother with complete faith, trust and devotion, and then the difficulties are over, fundamental. Outer life difficulties will come. That's what Sri Aurobindo made it very clear. But you'll not go through those depressive episodes and complaining, grumbling, doubts. They are gone for good. Because you have that complete trust and dependence on the divine. So that becomes the sunlit path. Sun itself is carrying us upward on the journey. But how shall a few escape release the world? The human mass lingers beneath the yoke. Escape, however high, redeems not life. Life that is left behind on a fallen earth. Escape cannot uplift the abandoned race or bring to it victory and the reign of God. So that is why Sri Aurobindo cannot be compared to this sect or that sect or this. This is the question that I ask when people say in this sect and that sect. Ask, tell me one question, only one question answer. What is the goal of this path? Mukti, that's the close. If you escape, how is it going to change earth? But Sri Aurobindo brings something that no one brings. Of course, mukti is included, it's a package deal. You can't talk about transformation without freedom from the lower nature. But the fact that why it cannot be compared is for the simple reason because this is something completely new. The goal is new and therefore the process is new, the path is new. There are many sects which give us freedom. That's what he told to Pavitrada. If you want liberation, there are some yogis in India who can grant you that. But if you want something more, you can stay on. Something more? What is that something more? You can stay and see. That stay became 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. So each one has to see what they really want. A greater power must come, a larger light. That is the supramental. That has to come and change the earth. Or bring to it victory. Although light grows on earth and night recedes, yet till the evil is slain in its own home. Right to the inconscient that light enters and chases. So in the beginning of the yoga, it's a beautiful, first is the womb stage, then is the baby comb stage. So baby comes so nice, psychic, so wonderful, all is good. We read in Savitri, psychic stage, no? When she has found a kingdom. Then God says, is this only thing you came to do? Find your soul and go back. Wait. So the voice of night. And then the voice of light. We are reading that. We've read it elsewhere. So then the real working begins. And right up to inconscient. So initially we say, oh, I'm so wonderful, I remember, and it happens. When you are in that intensity of yoga in the beginning with all that psychic stepping forward, I was very surprised when I came here. I had to carry a parcel for someone. And I went and saw the person is coolly watching football match on television. Quite as a senior person, I said, hey, football match, television per. And very coolly took what I had brought from someone. I said, ऐसे होता है क्या? Now I understand. Now I understand. Because then a time comes when the working starts on every layer. Then you discover, oh, बुरा जो देखन मैं गया, मुझसे बुरा ना कोई. All the world's imperfection are there within us. Of course, it's a question of which is greater, lesser is a different thing. So one of the signs that working is going upon ourselves is that you become generous and develop a sunny tolerance. This is the mother's words to others. Because you discover ki hum hai, hum sab. I don't want to say further. It's a bath place of the Lord. My Russian friends will excuse me. When I went to Russia, they told me, so socialist ideas. So you didn't have an attached toilet. So I said, what will I do? At night you can come out. Come out, I had no problem because a villager I have gone. But cold and all that you pick up and then come out and all big grasses. Then that's okay. Chalo, they arrange for a biodegradable toilet. In the morning you go for a bath. So bath I am looking for gents and ladies. It's a common bathroom. Common bathroom. Then what happens? No, it doesn't matter. Anybody can go anytime. I said, see, now, samatha I have practiced. But this will be the acme of samatha. One day I can practice it. Don't ask. So they were so kind, very lovely. I mean, Russians are mystics and our Russian friends are excellent. So much tuned to yoga. So then they said, okay, 7 o'clock your timing. I said, please give me half an hour. Nobody comes. Put it on the door. After that, I don't care. After 7. I have no moral issues about it. It's perfectly fine. But biological issues about it. I mean, Americans are no better. I have gone and seen, people moving around, but this is just a question of habit. I'm not saying anything. Well, these are different ways. People get used to a way of life. Our Naga sadhus are, also do a fashion parade. So, and why? In our, I've seen, only thing is we give a dignified name, no? When people go and bathe in the river with doing our... So there are different ways. Ultimately, you have to get over all these things. But I'm just saying that there are different ways of looking at life. So this light must come and take the evil right into the den, where all these urges, impulses, differentiation, all these are lying. It is happening actually, and light invades the world's inconscient base, and perished has the adversary force. He still must labor on, his work half done. That's the half deed, what is not yet fully done. In the dreadful passages, the fatal paths, invulnerable his soul, his heart unslain, he lives through the opposition of earth's powers and nature's ambushes and the world's attacks. His spirit's stature transcending pain and bliss. He fronts evil and good with calm and equal eyes. He too must grapple with the riddling sphinx and plunge into her long obscurity. This is the difference between avatar and a saint. Saint doesn't do all this. He goes there. You see, you go to a saint, they'll tell you a path. You go to a saint, what should I do? Take this mantra, do it like this, so much time. What about when I have a difficulty? Your karmas, it will get dissolved. But here, the mother says, when you sink, I don't stand on the shore, I sink with you. This is the avatar. He doesn't just go away from the zone of suffering and standing on the peak say, come here, I'm here, I'll help you. I'll put a hand below and help you to come up. Here he says, no, I'll not stand here and help you to come up. I'll come down and take you in my arms and take you upward. This is the difference. He has broken into the inconscious depths that veil themselves even from their own regard. He has seen God's slumber shape these magic worlds. He has watched the dumb God fashioning matter's frame, dreaming the dreams of its unknowing sleep, and watched the unconscious force that built the stars. And toward the end, when will the task be done? God's work. It's a long labor he has taken. So normally we say, evil khatam ho jayega, good jeet jayega. Triumph of victory of good over evil. That's not the task. That's only an interim. The task is to transform evil into its original good. Because strength of even evil comes from the one. And only in the supramental they unite and reconcile. Good changes into a greater good with a capital G, and evil changes into its original, whatever it represented and how it has. We have spoken about that into the inconscient, the four original powers. They change. To change them, because till they change, you can't slay it. Only the forms can be slain. But it goes back. It's an energy. It's a consciousness. It will come up. After 2,000 years, 3,000 years, it will come up. So this time they have taken a task seemingly impossible. And there it ends. Imperishable and wise and infinite, he still must travel hell, the world to save. Who could have known? Sri Aurobindo was giving darshan and everything. Who could have known that where he is going? You see, toward the last days, nobody knew. People felt something. An utterance here, perfect gentleman, an utterance here. He knew that he had taken the decision to withdraw. Oh, Savitri is over? Oh, what a sigh of relief. My most important work. As if, okay, now this was a hint. A seeming illness coming up, Sri Aurobindo curing thousands of people, but as if he is taking upon himself that poison of the world. Only a hint here and there, not letting anything escape from his lips. And the mother says he would try to wail even from her, because she would not let him go. She would say, I will go. It was necessary for the work that one of them goes behind and works. And it has, she says, how much it has helped the work. Later on she says, when the disciple asked her, how has it helped? He says, you have no idea, Sri Aurobindo's physical withdrawal, how much it has helped the work. Because he could go behind and work behind the scenes, which was his usual way of doing. Sri Aurobindo always liked to stay behind and do the work, even during revolution. And he says, it was the British government who spoiled my play by bringing him into prominence. So the moment he saw, he stepped behind. Even in the ashram life, he stepped behind and the mother in front. And even after 1950, he stepped behind, putting the mother in front. and Savitri in our hands. So this is his way of working, nothing unusual about it. So Sri Aurobindo so-called departure is not departure, but a strategic stepping behind the scene so that he can work undisturbed from all our useless correspondences. He's there now, free to work, and so many conversations with the mother in the agenda and everywhere, like a golden force he's pressing. He's going here, there, he's going to different countries to make sure that the world forces are aligned. It's much easier to do it without the physical body because you're not limited. That's how the mother put it. He could be several places at the same time. So this is how he continues to work, even when the door opens, supramental manifestation. She heard the command in English. The time has come or the hour has come. And she says, it was surprising that the command was in English. Because the Lord, it was Sri Aurobindo who said, the time has come. Because she is here. She is preparing. So, with a giant hammer I struck and saw the light, golden light come down. There on the verge of nature's summit steps, the secret law of each thing is fulfilled. Everything has its original truth there. Here it is deformed. So in the supramental you discover the original truth. Even of the most errant things, there is the secret truth and that is fulfilled. All contraries heal their long dissidence, there meet and clasp the eternal opposites. Mark the words eternal opposites, seemingly irreconcilable. Yet they meet and clasp and undergo a change. Their pain becomes a violent, fiery joy, the transformation of pain. We've spoken about it several times. Evil turns back to its original good. What was the good about evil? God had hidden himself in a mask of terror. Why? Because otherwise we are too comfortable in God's lap. You guys won't awake. So okay, I'll wear a mask. Like you have these dances, no? Where the dancer wears sometimes the mask of Ravana, Rama, but the same dancer, the same rapture dance. So he wears the mask of terror and says, uthega ki nahi uthega? Original good to make us sincere and keep us pointed on the road. That's their work. The adverse forces were originally instruments of sincerity. But when they took this hideous form, they forgot grace. That's how the mother puts it. That okay, sincerity is fine. Make people sincere. But then there is grace, which gives us grace marks. We are all in yoga, grace marks products. So, and sorrow lies upon the breasts of bliss. She has learned to weep glad tears of happiness. Sorrow learns to weep glad tears of happiness. See, same tears. Her gaze is charged with a wistful ecstasy. Then shall be ended here the law of pain. Earth shall be made a home of heaven's light. A seer, heaven-born, shall lodged in human breasts. So, the reason, analysis with all this, its labor shall end and we will be able to see, seer, heaven-born, the truth as it is. The superconscient beam shall touch men's eyes and the truth-conscious world come down to earth, invading matter with the Spirit's ray, awaking its silence to immortal thoughts, awaking the dumb heart to the living word. What is the living word? Many of the religions are based on a word which has long lost its original magnificence. It has become a dead carcass, because human beings have used it like that. It's no more a living truth. So the living word, the word which arises from within and leads us forward. Even Mother said about any teaching, she says a word if you repeat too often, spiritual teaching must be imparted as a living truth. It should be lived when it is being spoken. Not like, okay, these are the words I have to use and these are the, like a dictation or like slides. That's not the way spiritual truth is ever given. It is always a living teaching. And the truth conscious world come down to earth, invading matter with the spirit's ray, awaking its silence to immortal thoughts, awaking the dumb heart to the living word. This mortal life shall house eternity's bliss. The body's self taste immortality. The body's self shall taste immortality. Then shall the world redeemer's task be done. If you ask, is the task over? No. Why not? Well, we are on the road towards that fulfillment, because to reach that point where it can fulfill us, we have to be ready. It's not like a ready-made lunch provided to us. You pay the money, this much dollar, and you have the taste immortality. We'll be blown away. That touch of ecstasy, that thrill, that the superconscient fire will burn away. So there is a journey which we have yet to cover. But fundamentally, in essence, it has been done. The supermind is established upon earth. It is manifesting itself. And those who are open and ready to open with faith and confidence, those who are ready to endure and persevere with whatever patience is required through the journey, with complete trust and dependence on the grace, are already on the march to the great work for which Sri Aurobindo came, for which he withdrew, for which he continues to labor on. Thank you.